Yeah, what is going on YouTube? So, yeah, today I'm just gonna do a Pokemon video. Pokemon Sword and Shield Gen 8 tier list. So, gonna be talking about the competitive scene on the Switch, not on Pokemon Showdown. It's a bit different because Dynamax still exists. So, yeah. So this is just kind of my opinion on where each Pokemon kind of stands in the meta game right now. D being the worst and S being the best. So starting off with D tier, we have Shuckle. I think Shuckle is not that great. It's pretty much only used to set up Stealth Rock and webs. It gets wrecked by pretty much everything. So I think this Pokemon's like not that great at all. Rillaboom. Rillaboom is not that great as a physical attacker or a defensive Pokemon. It's probably better as a substitute leftover build, and I think when its hidden ability comes out, it's gonna be very strong. To be honest, with Grassy Surge leftovers substitute, it's gonna be very strong. But right now, it's not that great. Even Choice Band, the speed is too slow to actually be potent in the metagame. Gengar, definitely a fan favorite since the early days, but at the moment, I don't think it's doing that great in the meta game. The only real good Gengar builds I see are Scarf builds or Focus Sash Gengar with Destiny Bond. It's just like taking out an opponent just for your Gengar, so one for one trade. It doesn't really do much after that. Scarf is pretty good, but it's so frail that like if you don't KO anything, you'll just die the next turn. So right, next is this dude, the screen guy. I mean Mr. Mime. His typing is horrendous. It's ice and psychic. Pretty much like has can't deal with any entry hazards. Its speed is very slow. Defense typing is very weak. Special attack is pretty good, but I don't think it has very good use in the meta at the moment. I don't see many people using this either. Ice Q is just a shit version of Mimikyu. In all honesty, it can take a hit and that's about it. And it can reset its face with Hail, but that requires you to run a Hail team or Dynamax this guy. And its speed is very slow during the start, and I think it's a very situational monster at the moment. And I don't really think it's very good at the moment because of that. It does get fast after it loses its head, but before that, I don't think it has much use besides belly drum build. Flapple, honestly, I like the design of Appleton and Flapple. Like they're pretty cool. But yeah, Flapple is not too bad once you Dragon Dance, and with a Life Orb build, it's pretty strong. It hits really hard with Hustle, the ability. I like running this set, but they're just much better physical sweepers in the game at the moment. So I'd rather use obviously the stronger ones that we'll see later on. But yeah, cool design. Appleton is pretty similar. I actually like this Apple Cake guy better than the Flying Apple. He's probably better as well in terms of using in the team. He has access to Leech Seed, the apple falling on the head move, which reduces their special defense, so you can spam that. It's pretty useful. You got Recover. It's a pretty useful tank, to be honest. Next up is Pyukumuku. This thing is just like a really situational monster, I think. It can be really strong and really just tedious to verse, but it honestly has zero attacking moves, and I find this monster just the most boring fucking Pokemon in the game. It just toxic stalls everything, and it just sits there. I really don't like this monster, and I don't think it's that great either. If you have a special attacking Specs, Dragapult, or anything, even Toxtricity here wrecks this dude. So I don't really like Puku. Turcoil. Honestly, D tier is a bit harsh for this guy. I think he's pretty good. Like he has Drought, sets up fire. I mean, sets up the suns for fire like teams, and it's actually very bulky. And water attacks don't actually work against this guy straight up because of his ability Drow that usually people run with, and it has access to Yaunt and Stealth Rock, so I think it's not too bad. I think it's the strongest out of D tier at the moment. Next is Toxtricity. This Elvis Presley. I like him. I like this guy, the non-amped version better. So this one right here, the standing one, with specs and boom bursts, it hits really hard, and punk rock ability. Um, but its typing is just really weak to a lot of things, especially just Earthquake. It's just a really common move, and it's 4 times affected against it. So it's like pretty hard to switch into with a medium tier speed as well. Roto Mo. Um, Roto Mo is only good against like Quag and like what's it called? Gara. Actually, maybe not even Gara with Life Orb, it just wrecks this guy. But like Quag, Seismitoad, Leaf is not that strong at the moment, I don't think. And Rotom Mo is probably the weakest Rotoms out right now. Um, Gudra. Gudra honestly has amazing base stats. It's just so sad that I think it's just really trash, to be honest. Even though it has amazing stats, its regular defense is just too low to compete with anything in the meta at the moment. There's so many hard-hitting physical attackers that just wreck Gudra. So it's really a shame. Its speed is also just really horrendous. So the 2 skills that are bad are physical defense and speed, and I think that really affects Gudra like quite heavily. Moving on to C tier, this this sheep, what's his name? Dubwool. Yeah, Dubwool. It's actually a beast physical defender. It's so strong. Cotton Guard actually is like a very strong skill, raises your defense by 3, and body press pretty much. If you also its skill, Fluffy, it resists heaps of physical attacks. I think besides fire or something like that, but it's a very strong physical defender. But it just doesn't have access to much else. It's kind of just used as a wall, and with body press, it does a lot of work. But special attackers, fire, anything fire wrecks this guy because of its ability, which is a shame. Cramorant is actually, I really like Cramorant. His design and his ability is really fun. When he gets hit, when he uses Surf, he puts the fish and Barraskewda in his mouth and flings it at him when he gets hit. It's actually a pretty strong. It's actually really strong versing people that haven't versed Cramorant before, because people actually underestimate this dude. Doesn't know what it does because it's like not very common in the meta. But I really like Cramorant. But yeah, it has too many weaknesses, and it has the stats are too low to really compete with the stronger Pokemon in the game. Beetle, it has really good speed, and it has really good bulk, to be honest, but its typing is also just really shit. Like Psychic Bug is pretty much weak to like more than half the typing in the game. Has access to the screens, and the only real potent build with Orbeetle is the Light Clay double screen build. Other than that, it's pretty trash. Gardevoir, yeah, it's just not that great. It's good with Scarf, I think. It's its strongest build, but there's just much better um, Pokemon than Gardevoir, like Hatterene as well. Does the same job, just much more efficiently than Gardevoir. Golisopod, this guy's a beast. He's one of my favorite Pokemon, but he's not that great. I think you gotta run what's it called? Max HP, max attack, so you don't get emergency exit proc all the time. With Assault Vest, it's really strong. You got Sucker Punch, Aqua Jet, Liquidation, First Impression, Stab. It's very powerful, but other than that, um, it's not that great. But it's honestly a really cool mechanic and fun monster to use. And it has a sick design. I love this guy. Alcremie, I hate this monster. So ugly. It's just a cake. Plus, it's just really annoying. Everyone runs the same build on this guy. It's just Calm Mind, and trying to max defense. But honestly, once this thing switches in, just change to a physical attacker and this thing gets blown up. Like, it's just not that great. Like, Excadrill kills this thing instantly. Bishop kills this thing instantly. I don't like Alcremie. Rune Regis, Galarian version. Honestly, this guy also has a really cool design. I love this thing. But other than a physical tank, it's not that great. There's better physical tanks out there, but it's fun to use as a stealth rocker lead, and I like its ability as well. Wandering Spirit, and it mimics the opponent's ability, or the opponent mimics this guy's ability, and it gets no ability, so I like that. But yeah, his design is cool, but it's not that great. Lucario, honestly, also a big fan favorite, but he is actually is probably a stronger C tier monster, but the only real build is with Focus Sash. Its speed is very mediocre, um, but you can build physical or special attack, which is cool because people won't expect or they can't predict until you make your first move. So it's pretty useful, and it has a good typing as well. Fighting and steel is pretty strong at the moment, but yeah, it's very frail. Its defense is shit, and you have to run Focus Sash, so it limits you to that kind of thing. Okay, Como O. Como O's design is awesome. Like this thing is sick. Um, Actually, C tier is probably a bit harsh. Maybe it's in between C and B tier for this guy. But yeah, right now with Dynamax, like this thing switching into this thing and trying to set up with clanging scales, I think takes too much time and it gets killed pretty quickly. I think the physical tank build is stronger with body press, stealth rock, but I've also recently seen a lot of players use Komo with substitute drain punch like leftovers, and that is probably the strongest build for it with clanging scales as well. And I think that build goes to B tier, but regular Komo is in C tier at the moment. Mandibuzz, I know in Pokemon Showdown, a lot of people use Mandibuzz as their tank in OU because it has defog, return, foul play. It's very, very good. Roost as well. But with Dynamax, this thing, it can't live much, I don't think. It just gets pretty, you can't really switch into this defog and then you turn out. It gets killed in like 2, 3 hits. Um, if lucky, maybe, yeah, with physical. It's only you really use as a physical tank, this thing. Copper like this guy, I also really like this design, the elephant. It's really cool. But it's yeah, it's only used as a trick room attacker monster. So it requires trick room to be any kind of use unless it's a suicide lead, stealth rock, focus sash build. But yeah, it's very, very slow. It's probably one of the slowest monsters in the game, but it hits like a truck. But yeah, it's a very situational monster. So Lapras is naturally pretty bulky. It's not too bad, but its attack is special attack is not the greatest. Has access to freeze dry, so it's pretty good against annoying monsters like Toxapex, Quagsire, Seismitoad, things like that. But there's so many physical attacking Pokemon that this thing gets pretty wrecked in the meta at the moment. Hatterene. So Hatterene is its special attack is sky high and special defense is also really high. But its physical defense is not the greatest. I've actually been running a physical defensive Hatterene with Nuzzle and leftovers and draining kiss, and it's actually pretty good. And I've actually enjoyed that build over the Trick Room Attacker build. The Trick Room Attacker build is also pretty strong, but I don't think it's the greatest. Obstagoon. So Obstagoon's design is badass. Like this thing is so cool and has a really unique ability only he has called Obstruct, and it's very good against physical attackers and has access to guts as well, so status doesn't affect it. It's actually very strong. I think C tier is a bit harsh. It should be B tier maybe. But yeah, this thing has very good stats all around. Has a good natural bulk and pretty strong attack. Has access to close combat, facade with flame orb, guts, obstruct. It's actually a pretty decent monster, I think. Haxorus. This thing's attack is probably like top 3 highest attack in the game at the moment, base stat wise. But it's very slow and it just gets wrecked by so many. There's so many fast dragon and fairy types out at the moment that you gotta kind of run Scarf or Dragon Dance on this thing, and getting off a Dragon Dance in in the meta game right now, I think is pretty difficult. So Haxorus has its moments, but it's also pretty hard to pull off, I think. Okay, now we're at the B tier. So Corviknight. Corviknight is actually one of the strongest physical defenders in the game. I think the bulk up build also gives it a bit of aggression, which is better than the iron defense build at the moment. And you got Roost, great typing, steel and flying. It's actually Wall's many Pokemon in the meta right now. I think it's a very strong monster. Durant. So Durant is actually really strong physical attacker. I think also with Dynamax out at the moment, this thing has great Dynamax ability with Life Orb. It has such good coverage as well. You've got Steel type Iron Head, which gives you defense. You've got First Impression Stab, which is very good. You can always go first, guaranteed 90 base stab, which is really cool. Thunderfang for Gyarados, things like that. It's naturally faster than Gyarados, so I think Durant is a very good sweeper at the moment, especially with Dynamax and Life Orb. Alright, Dracofish. This thing is ugly as fuck. It's so ugly. But yeah, ugly monsters are really strong, like always. So this thing only uses one move, Vicious Rend, pretty much. Its Dynamax is not that great because it loses access to Scarf and Band, and that's all it really goes with. Choice Band or Choice Scarf, Vicious Rend. If it doesn't go first, it's also pretty useless. So yeah, but it's actually a very, very strong Pokemon. Nothing really can resist a big Vicious Rend attack. You can't really switch into it either. Togekiss. This thing is really annoying. I hate this thing. It's very good Dynamax with max Airstream Stab with the raising of speed and weakness policy procs. It's very annoying to deal with. Or Lum and Life Orb. It can use many items, which kind of makes this thing a big threat. But yeah, I just don't like using this thing, and I hate versing it because it's really naturally special def bulky. It's just annoying to deal with. Inteleon, I think Inteleon is actually pretty strong at the moment. It can set up its own rain, and its Hydro Cannon Dynamax stab 150 in the rain. It just blows shit up. Like with Life Orb, it's very strong. I think this thing is very good in the meta at the moment. Even though it's really frail, its speed and special attack is really high, and you don't see many special defensive kind of Pokemon out at the moment. So yeah. Gastrodon, this thing is also has good ability. Its water absorbability is very useful, and its typing is amazing. It pretty much resists water and lightning, negates it completely. It's just really weak to grass, which is kind of but not many Pokemon run grass ability, so Gastrodon is actually very naturally bulky and good. Has access to Yawn as well. I think this thing is a pretty strong Pokemon at the moment. Bulk Beak. So Bulk Beak is also very fucking ugly. All fossil Pokemon are so ugly right now. But yeah, this thing is pretty much like the Vicious Rend, but like electric version, and yeah, that's about it for this guy. Whimsicott. This thing with Prankster is just really annoying to deal with. Prankster, Leech Seed, Life, Leftovers Substitute is probably the best build for it. It's just really annoying to deal with, and once you have Leech Seed up, it pretty much it restores its substitute HP every turn, so it's like really annoying to deal with. Mimikyu's ability is just really lame. Like I hate it. Pretty much you take a free hit from anything, and with Dynamax this thing is very strong. It just gets a free sword dance pretty much, and also it can switch into Dynamax and waste a turn, so it's just annoying to deal with. But yeah, it's not the greatest. If it does get a sword dance up, then it's pretty strong, but other than that, I don't think it's that great at all. But yeah. Rhyperior, this thing is beast. I love Rhyperior, it's one of my favorite Pokemon. Has sky high natural HP, attack and defense, but its special defense is very weak. So I run like I think 80 EVs in special defense and sometimes Assault Vest with 4 attacking moves. It's pretty strong. Its ability Solid Rock, it also lets it take super effective hits pretty well. So yeah, I like Rhyperior. It's really cool. Crawdon. Crawdon is also very sick Pokemon. I like this guy. His ability, adaptability, buzz. This guy's, yeah, it's good. It gives pretty much your stab moves, so water and dark type, an extra bonus of like I think like 1.25 multiplier or something like that. But it's really good. It hits like knockoff. It's main stab dark move, and that's a big threat. Pretty much does like 100 to 120 base hit, and yeah, the only thing really lacking for this guy is its speed. It's just really slow, but its attack is yeah awesome. Doug Trio is ability can really like fuck you over or do well. It depends if you're versing it or using it. But yeah, Arena Trap is strong. Pretty much like whatever you're versing with it can't switch out unless it has U-turn and parting shot, things like that. But yeah, with Stab, Earthquake, I like to run Choice Band. It hits so hard. Or Focus Sash build. So you've got Focus Sash, Reversal. Has really good speed as well. So yeah, Doug Trio is I think a very strong Pokemon at the moment. Clefable, Life Orb Clef is probably the best build right now because Unaware ability Clef is not out in the Switch version yet in the competitive scene. But yeah, Life Orb Clef with high HP investment special attack is very strong. I think because it doesn't lose any residual chip damage from Life Orb. So yeah. Darmanitan, this shit's like ugly as fuck as well. But Scarf Dharm or pretty much has like an inbuilt choice band because of its ability. But yeah, you can chuck on a choice band or a scarf. I prefer scarf because it outspeeds pretty much everything if they're not scarfed as well. But yeah, choice scarf Dharm is very strong. Silvally has very okay stats all around. I think it's base 95 for everything. HP to speed, everything is 95. The best thing about this guy is you can build it, especially defense, special attack, physical attack, physical defense, anything because of its nice, well-rounded, balanced stats, and also its cool ability where it can change any type, any typing with its discs. So I think Silvally is really cool. Cinderace is very strong. I think its Pyro Ball, its finesse move, it's really cool. Its speed and physical attack is really high as well. So Inteleon is especially offensive with high speed, but Cinderace is the physical side, and Fire Stab is really cool. Also has the best, oh not best, but a really unique ability called Court Change, and it can kind of switch the sides of like entry hazards like Stealth Rock or screens. That's why I really like running heavy duty boots kind of Cinderace. It's really cool. Rotom Wash, definitely one of the strongest Rotoms in the game. I like running Specs or Scarf Rotom Wash. It's really strong. But you can also run Will-O-Wisp defensive Rotoms. So I think this Pokemon is just really strong because it has such great versatility and it can fit in a lot of teams, I reckon. Snorlax. Snorlax is just a nuisance to deal with. This thing is just naturally very, very bulky. Has Yawn, Curse, what's it called? Body Slam. It kind of paralyzes you. Has Earthquake. It has a very great move pool. But yeah, this thing is naturally very bulky and strong Pokemon. Moving on to the A tier. So Hydreigon. Hydreigon now is like one of the strongest Pokemon in the game. Um, has you can build anything with this thing. It's like very versatile. You've got Choice Scarf build. Um, you've got which actually outspeeds Dragapult, so it's very strong. You've got the substitute leftover build with Nasty Plot. It's very strong as well. Or you got leftovers Nasty Plot. Wait, no, I just said leftovers. I mean Life Orb. Nasty Plot, and then Dark Pulse. Dark type in this tier meta game is actually just hits everything very well. There's not many resistance against Dark. So yeah, Hydreigon is very strong. Wheezing, this thing has amazing typing, Poison and Fairy. This thing is really strong physically, defensive wise. Has access to defog as well. Will-O-Wisp, it's just a very good tank in the meta game at the moment with very nice stab typing, Poison and Fairy. Excadrill, this thing pretty much the best counter to Mimikyu. Everyone loves to play Mimikyu. It also counters Aegislash very well. Excadrill is a very strong sweeper, I think. You can with Mold Breaker, Focus Sash. That's probably the most common lead build you see. But also you see a lot of Life Orb, Sand Rush Excadrills. With Sand Rush, it pretty much outspeeds everything, and you've got Life Orb, Dynamax, Excadrill. It's very strong in the Switch game. Seismitoad, probably one of the best stealth rockers in the game, similar to Pokemon Showdown online, but on the Switch as well. It pretty much plays the same role. Has access to Toxic as well, which not many Pokemon have at the moment until the next patch comes. So you've got Stealth Rock, Toxic, Natural, great typing, Water Absorb as well. It's just an all-round amazing Pokemon. Aegislash, this thing is also just a beast. Such a good Pokemon. It's so versatile as well. You can run like so many builds with this thing. Has access to Shadow Sneak too. It's just a priority move. It's very strong. With Substitute, King Shield, Leftovers, this thing is just very freaking annoying to verse, and it's really strong. Yeah, Aegislash is just amazing as well. Sylveon, I think Sylveon is actually very strong in the Switch game. With Yawn, Wish, Protect, it can pretty much stall out Dynamax. It has very good special defense and HP stats. Just putting some EVs into defense actually really helps this thing. And yeah, fairy typing is just really strong at the moment as well. Grimmsnarl, this thing, all I really see is the screen build with Reflect Light Screen and Thunderwave, Taunt, those kind of moves. It has Prankster, the ability. But yeah, Grimmsnarl is probably one of my favorite Gen 8 Pokemon. Its design is really cool. I love this guy's design. It looks like a badass Shrek that took roids. But yeah, Grimmsnarl, definitely a rank monster. Conkeldurr, this thing, such a beast. It has Guts, Flame Orb, Facade. That shit just hits very hard. Drain Punch, Stab naturally heals it as well. It's just such a good move. It has great typing, has great move pool typing like Thunder Punch, Earthquake, Ice Punch. Yeah, with Guts, this thing just attacks. It's just sky high. It's really strong. Ferrothorn, this is probably the best tank, I reckon. Definitely the top 3 tanks in the game. Leech Seed Protect, probably the best build to go with max EVs into special defense. Works really well for me. I usually run that set, but yeah, Ferrothorn is just very annoying to deal with. Similar to Toxapex, this Toxapex is just pretty much big staller with Recover, Haze, Baneful Bunker, Scald. This thing is just annoying as well. Plus you don't have to use the leftovers on this thing. You can use Black Sludge, so it opens up room for leftovers for other team members in the game, which is really handy. Windy, what's this guy? Arcanine. Yeah, Arcanine. Arcanine is actually really strong in the current metagame because of its natural bulk plus just its monotone fire typing. It doesn't have many super effective moves against it. Plus Intimidate as well lowers the attack of opposing Pokemon. So this thing is a great physical wall. I love using it as a physical wall in the metagame. Duraludon, this is also one of my favorite new Pokemon. This thing is just really sick. It just looks like a Tesla on legs. I love this thing. Um, yeah, it's just really shit special defensive wise. So putting some EVs into HP or special defense. Running Assault Vest is also really strong on this guy. It actually walls many common picks like Mimikyu, uh, annoying Pokemon like Togekiss, shit like that. Duraludon is actually great. It's a great pick in every team, I think. Corsola, this thing is just so ugly and it's annoying as well. I don't like this Pokemon, but it's very strong. With Stealth Rock, Strength Sap, and its crazy bulk, it's just like a nightmare to deal with, especially if you're a physical attacker. Like no physical attackers can get past this thing unless you're like Dynamax +2 attacker. Um, yeah, this thing is just a great wall. Teapot, forgot this guy's name. Yeah, Poltergeist. Poltergeist is I freaking love Poltergeist. I've used Poltergeist many games now. This thing comes in clutch all the time with Shell Smash. This thing is Shell Smash Focus Sash. It's like really amazing stored power. You pretty much get like a 120 attack psychic move as well as shadow ghost typing. Nothing really resists ghost type in the meta at the moment. So yeah, Poltergeist is just a big threat. Um, and yeah, Cloyster is pretty much the same as Poltergeist, just a bit better, I think, with Skill Link. It breaks sashes, which is really awesome, but also this thing doesn't need Dynamax, which is really cool. So you can run like a Dynamax offensive Pokemon like Gyarados with it, because this thing is pretty much relies on Dynamax to be useful. But yeah, Cloyster and Poltergeist kind of play the same role. Gyarados, this thing, Life Orb, Dynamax, Max Airstream, Stab with Max Geyser. This thing is just probably one of the best Dynamax Pokemon in the game. Hawlucha, I actually like Hawlucha's design. It's really cool. But yeah, this thing is also very, very strong, I think. With Power Herb Sky Attack, you got like a 140 stab move instantly. Plus its ability Unburden. It pretty much uses your Power Herb and you get max speed. So you've got max speed, something like 100 base attack. And with Sword Stance, this thing can sweep anything. Hawlucha is just big ass threat, I think. And lastly, G-Max Corviknight. So this thing actually is very strong, I think. With its G-Max ability to wipe screens off, it's a very great counter to Grimmsnarl, which is a very common pick in the meta game. And yeah, it can use Bulk Up, Max Airstream, Max Steel Spike. Yeah, I think it's a very potent kind of Pokemon. And finally, we're up to the S tier. So the S tier, both Charizards are in it, but I think actually the normal Charizard is stronger than the G-Max Charizard purely because its Dynamax is so good. So you can actually run Scarf Charizard and it pretty much outspeeds everyone in the game. But also the best thing about this guy is it can set up its own sunny day. So you can max flare and get access to your ability solar power, which gives you pretty much a choice specs on top of it. So it's really strong. And you got max airstream as well, which +1 onto your speed, as well as having that boost of fire on top of its ability solar power. It's just really strong as a Dynamax. I've won so many games with Charizard. And yeah, you have to run Life Orb on G-Max Charizard because you can't set up your own sun, which is like the biggest thing about the regular Charizard. But yeah, its G-Max Wildfire move is very strong. But yeah, I just think in general, the normal one is just a bit better than the G-Max, but they're both very, very good. Dragapult. This thing clearly one of the best Pokemon that was introduced into the new generation. You could just run any set on this thing. It's just amazing stats. Has the highest base speed in the game, the highest speed. You can run the Reflect lead build with double screen, Hex, Will-O-Wisp, Light Clade. You can also run like Choice Scarf, you can run Choice Band, you can run Choice Specs, you can run Life Orb, Dragon Dance. This thing has just unlimited potential. I think I have like 8 Dragapults like setups on in my game. Yeah, this thing is just a huge threat. Bishop, I think Bishop is just one of the strongest Pokemon just because it's typing, yeah, and it's a sky high base stat and attack and access to stab, sucker punch. It's just such a good monster. It pretty much nukes the shit out of Toxapex. I mean not Toxapex. Togekiss, Mimikyu, all those bullshit fairy monsters that come into the game. Yeah, Bishop is just a beast. Swords Dance, Sucker Punch, it can like OHKO pretty much everything in the game. Um, with black glasses, Defiant as well. Forgot to mention its ability Defiant. When you Dynamax this thing, its stats can't be lowered. I think it's just a beast monster. Tyranitar. Tyranitar has just always been such a solid pick in every single Pokemon game, and it's also the same for this one. Definitely a fan favorite as well. It has an awesome design. Everyone loves Tyranitar. But yeah, its Sandstream ability sets up its own Sandstorm. It gives it +1 into special defense because it's rock typing. So this thing as a Dynamax, it's just so strong. Like because everyone runs weakness policy on this thing, and you can sweep the entire team. You just Dynamax it, get hit by a super effective move, take like half, and then just wipe everyone off. This thing is just a beast. Ditto. Ditto is just so good because all the buffs that Dynamax give you, pretty much when it's ended, you can just send in Ditto, and you just gain all of the abilities that the previous opponent Pokemon you got. So you just become them, but you run Scarf on it, so you go faster every time. So this thing is just the best revenge killer in the whole game. But yeah, if you run Ditto, never show it until they end their Dynamax, and then bring it in at the end, and then just reverse sweep the entire team. That's kind of the way you play Ditto. Self-explanatory monster. Hippowdon, I think is probably one of the best tanks. Well, yeah, it's in S tier. It's like definitely one of the best tanks in the game. Same with Jellicent. But yeah, Hippowdon just has like really annoying moves like Sandstream, Yawn, Stealth Rock. So you just set up Stealth Rock, and then just Yawn spam, and pretty much just Stealth Rock just chips away the whole time until they fall asleep or they just pretty much die. It's just such an annoying monster to deal with. Hippowdon is yeah, definitely one of the greatest tanks in the meta right now. Gmax Snorlax is the strongest Dynamax Pokemon in the game. Full stop. This thing with Gluttony and Max Replenish and just its crazy bulk. Like you can't kill this, and it just keeps healing, and it's just so cancer. Like I don't know why you're allowed to use this. It's pretty much just like cheating. So strong. And lastly, Jellicent. I think it's the best tank. Um, Definitely physically has max EVs into physical and HP. It has a really good base special defense. So this thing is just the best tank in the game, I think. With strength sap as well. Pretty much Will-O-Wisp strength sap. You just keep healing. This like you can't really kill this thing. It has great typing, great ability, water absorb as well. Yeah, Jellicent is just not many people actually know about Jellicent, I think, but like it's like you should try it if you haven't used it.